All of us are flawed. We all have our own little imperfections, limiting beliefs, biases, incorrect assumptions, rough edges and quirks that make us individuals and make us who we are. We're far from perfect, and we're far from a finished product, and that's okay. As most people develop over time, these rough edges get smoothed as we go through the world. Our perceptions get well-rounded by experience, and our ideas and beliefs are shaped by coming into contact with the realities of life. We all want these changes to be constructive, for us to become better people as we move forward through time. Stoicism is a school of ancient Greek philosophy that asks the question, how can we live a good life? More specifically, how can an individual like you and me achieve a state of being in which we flourish, which the Stoics called eudaimonia? Stoic philosophy is one of the few ancient schools of philosophy that people still apply to their day-to-day lives, standing the test of time that has eroded most other schools of thought from the same period. Its practicality and simplicity provide a perfect framework on which to build a resilient and constructive personal philosophy. And today we're going to use it as a guide to build that conscious path forward we spoke about earlier. Do you know what is the job of a philosopher? When the standards have been set, Epictetus said, the work of philosophy is just this, to examine and uphold the standards. But the work of a truly good person is in using those standards when they know them. Pretty straightforward then. Define your rules, live by them. But of course the Stoics were not quite so direct in practice. One Stoic, Chrysippus, supposedly wrote 500 lines a day, the vast majority of which are lost. The Stoics spoke, wrote, and debated, but nowhere did they put their commandments down in one place. Not at least in any form that survived. Having thought about this and trying to get them all straight for my own practice, here are 40 rules from the Stoics, gathered from their immense body of work across 2,000 years. These rules functioned, then, as now, as guides to what the ancients called the good life. Hopefully, some of them will illuminate your own path. 1. Focus on what you can control. The chief task in life is simply this, to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Epictetus. The single most important practice in Stoic philosophy is differentiating between what we can change and what we can't, what we have influence over and what we do not. What does this look like in practice? Sports are a good example. An athlete can't control if the other team cheats or if the refs always get the calls right. They can't control if people in the media know what they are talking about or if they stake out positions just to be controversial or contrarian. They can't control the weather or the conditions on the field. So what does that leave? One thing, their own performance. As Marcus Aurelius would say, it doesn't matter what other people say or think, it only matters what you do. You control how you play. Not whether you win, you control how you play. Not if people respect you, you control how you play. Not if the crowd cheers you on, you control how you play. That's it. Focus on what's in your control, nothing else. Put it into practice. Think for 5 minutes about your current problems and separate them into 2 categories. 1, what is in your control, and 2, what is out of your control. Now only focus on what's in your control. 2. You control how you respond to things. While we may not completely control some elements, we have varying degrees of influence. Stoicism encourages actively directing our time, energy, and resources onto anything within our influence, rather than dwelling on helplessness. For example, we cannot fully control whether it rains or not, but we have some influence on preparations for the weather. We can achieve better outcomes aligned with our values by leveraging these spheres where we have agency, however limited. 3. Ask yourself, is this essential? Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? Marcus Aurelius. Now, unlike any other moment in recent memory, we are being forced to reevaluate things. We're looking at our jobs, at our finances, at the places we live. We're looking at so many of the systems that have been set up, whether they're governmental, cultural, or familial. We're having to ask questions about why they are what they are and how they've held up under the immense pressure and stress of this global pandemic. You can imagine Marcus Aurelius doing a bit of this himself. He too experienced a plague and was forced to spend years far from Rome with the army. There, in his tent, he sat with his journal, the pages that would become meditations, and he had a conversation with himself. One of the best passages survives to us and is worth applying to our own lives right now under similar stress and uncertainty. Most of what we say and do is not essential, he writes. If you can eliminate it, you'll have more time and more tranquility. Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? There has never been a better time to go through your life and ask yourself about all the things you do and say and think. Is this necessary? Is this essential? Why am I doing this? What would happen if I changed? These are the questions to ask yourself every day, every moment. How much or how little do you work? Where you live? What your marriage or your relationships look like? The political policies you support? What you spend money on? What your goals are? The way your schedule is arranged? The things taking up room in your junk drawer? Or the thoughts running through your head? Most of what we do is not essential. Most of it is instinctual, or it was foisted on us by someone else. Most of it isn't actually working for us. We might be better and happier if we changed. So remember Marcus's advice. If you seek tranquility, do less. Put it into practice. Take out a piece of paper and make 2 columns. On the left side, list out all of the things that are swirling in your mind and competing for your time and attention. On the right side, write, it is necessary, or it isn't necessary, next to each item on the list. Then, cross out all the unnecessary items on the page and in your life. 4. Meditate on your mortality every day. This is our big mistake, to think we look forward toward death. Most of the death is already gone. Whatever time has passed is owned by death. Seneca. It's easy to see death as this thing that lies off in the distant future. Even those of us who choose not to live in denial of our mortality can be guilty of this. We think of dying as an event that happens to us. It's stationary, whatever date it will happen at, and we're moving towards it, slowly or quickly, depending on our age and health. Seneca felt that this was the wrong way to think about it, that it was a mistaken view that enabled many bad habits and much bad living. Instead, he said, death was a process. It was happening to us right now. We are dying every day, he said. Even as you read this email, time is passing that you will never get back. That time, he said, belongs to death. Powerful, right? Death doesn't lie off in the distance. It's with us right now. It's the second hand on the clock. It's the setting sun. As the arrow of time moves, death follows, claiming every moment that has passed. What ought we do about it? The answer is live. Live while you can. Put nothing off. Leave nothing unfinished. Seize it while it still belongs to us. Memento mori. Put it into practice. Spend 5 minutes meditation on your mortality, on how brief your existence is. Then, as Marcus Aurelius would say, let the thought of your mortality determine everything you do and say and think. 5. Value time more than money possessions. Stoics train attention on making the most of the given moment rather than getting tied to past regrets or future fears. Unlearning habit loops that chain reactions between an unchangeable past and uncertain future bring awareness to the present. Along with contemplative practices like negative visualization that reveal life's fragility, each moment becomes saturated with depth, meaning, and true fulfillment. 6. You are the product of your habits. Well-being is attained by little, and nevertheless is no little thing itself. Zeno. Seneca wrote a lot of letters to his friend Lucilius. We don't know a lot about Lucilius, only that he was from Pompeii. He was a Roman knight. He was the imperial procurator in Sicily, then its governor, and he owned a country villa in Ardea. For all his success, though, we get the sense that he struggled with many of the things we all struggle with: anxiety, distraction, fear, temptation, self-discipline. So it's good that he had a friend like Seneca, someone who cared about him, told him the truth and gave him advice. One of the best pieces of advice from Seneca was actually pretty simple. Each day, he told Lucilius, you should acquire something that will fortify you against poverty, against death, indeed against other misfortunes as well. 1 gain per day, that's it. This is the way to curb our procrastinating tendencies, remembering that incremental, consistent, humble, persistent work is the way to improvement. Your business, your book, your career, your body, it doesn't matter. You build them with little things day after day. Arnold Schwarzenegger is a filmmaker, entrepreneur, author, former governor, professional bodybuilder, and father of 5. He's also a fan of the Stoics and said in a video to people trying to stay strong and sane during the pandemic, just as long as you do something every day, that is the important thing. Whether it's from Seneca or Arnold, good advice is good advice and truth is truth. One thing a day adds up. One step at a time is all it takes. You just got to get one small win, and the sooner you start, the better you'll feel and be. Put it into practice. Pick a project you are either currently working on or want to get started. What is the smallest step you can take to move that project forward, to complete that step? 7. Remember, you have the power to have no opinion. At its core, Stoicism teaches the importance of focusing on what is within our control and accepting what is not. In this vein, having no opinion can be seen as a practice of detachment rather than ignorance or apathy. By recognizing that external events are beyond our control, Stoicism encourages individuals to cultivate inner tranquility and resilience. In essence, having no opinion can be interpreted as a conscious choice to refrain from being emotionally invested in matters that are outside of one's influence. This doesn't imply passivity, but rather a deliberate decision to conserve mental energy and maintain equanimity in the face of life's uncertainties. 8. Own the morning. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work. As a human being, I'm going to do what I was born for. Or is this what I was created for? To huddle under the blankets and stay warm. Marcus Aurelius. One of the most relatable moments in Marcus Aurelius's meditations is the argument Marcus Aurelius has with himself in the opening of Book 5. It's clearly an argument he's had with himself many times, on many mornings, as have many of us. He knows he has to get out of bed, but so desperately wants to remain under the warm covers. It's relatable, but it's also impressive. Marcus didn't actually have to get out of bed. He didn't really have to do anything. One of his predecessors, Tiberius, basically abandoned the throne for an exotic island. Marcus's adopted great-grandfather Hadrian hardly spent any time in Rome at all. The emperor had all sorts of prerogatives, and here Marcus was insisting that he rise early and get to work. Why? It's because Marcus knew that winning the morning was key to winning the day and winning at life. He wouldn't have heard the expression that the early bird gets the worm, but he was well aware that a day well begun is half done. But it begs the question, what does winning the morning look like? What should one do after they wake up early? From the Stoics we glean 3 habits that make the morning a success. Journal, take a walk, do deep work. Let's look at each of those individually. Journal, take a walk, do deep work. 9. Put yourself up for review. Interrogate yourself. Putting oneself up for review or interrogating oneself through the lens of Stoicism involves a deep introspection aimed at understanding one's thoughts, actions and emotions in alignment with Stoic principles. This process involves rigorous self-examination to cultivate self-awareness, identify areas for improvement, and strengthen one's resilience and virtue. Firstly, a Stoic interrogation involves questioning one's judgments and reactions to external events. Instead of allowing emotions to dictate responses, one evaluates whether their reactions are by reason and virtue. For instance, rather than succumbing to anger or frustration when faced with adversity, Stoicism prompts individuals to assess whether their response is guided by wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance.
Secondly, self-interrogation in Stoicism involves scrutinizing one's desires and attachments. By examining desires through the lens of Stoic teachings, individuals can discern between what is within their control and what is not. This enables them to detach from fleeting pleasures and external outcomes, focusing instead on cultivating inner tranquility and moral excellence.
Furthermore, Stoic self-interrogation encourages individuals to reflect on their character and moral integrity. By assessing their actions against Stoic virtues, individuals can strive for greater alignment with principles such as honesty, integrity, and kindness. 10. Don't suffer imagined troubles. We suffer more from imagination than from reality. Seneca. What are you worried about right now? Your job, your family, your future, your health? You're not crazy to worry. Bad things could happen related to any of them. A car accident, an economic downturn, a surprise diagnosis. But let's go backward in time. A month, a year, 5 years ago. What were you worried about then? Mostly the same things, right? And how many of those worries came to pass? As Mark Twain quipped, I am an old man and have known a great many troubles, but most of them never happened. And even the ones that did come to pass, the worrying didn't help stop it, right? It was Seneca who put the best one-liner to this feeling. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. So, what I advise you to do is, Seneca continued, do not be unhappy before the crisis comes. We are in the habit of exaggerating, or imagining, or anticipating sorrow. Don't anticipate a sorrow. Don't let anxiety and worry get the best of you. Don't let your worries grow out of proportion to what might happen. Don't let imagination overtake reality. Put it into practice. Next time you are feeling stressed or anxious, remind yourself, stay in the present. Focus on what you can control. 11. Try to see the good in people. When we make a conscious effort to see the positive qualities in others, we cultivate a more compassionate and inclusive worldview. Seeking the good in people promotes empathy by encouraging us to consider their perspectives, experiences, and intentions. Rather than rushing to judgment or focusing solely on flaws, we approach others with openness and curiosity. recognizing the inherent dignity and complexity of each individual. Embracing this perspective nurtures trust and strengthens relationships. By acknowledging and appreciating the strengths and virtues of others, we build mutual respect and goodwill. This fosters a supportive and collaborative environment where people feel valued and understood, enhancing communication and cooperation. Furthermore, seeing the good in people contributes to personal well-being and happiness. When we focus on positive aspects, we cultivate a mindset of gratitude and optimism, which enhances our overall outlook on life. Additionally, acknowledging the good in others can inspire us to cultivate similar virtues within ourselves, promoting personal growth and moral development. 12. Never be overheard complaining, even to yourself. Don't be overheard complaining, not even to yourself. Marcus Aurelius, 8.9. Complaining is easy. It's as natural to us as breathing. Complaining is describing something, an event, an experience, a person, negatively without any indication of the next steps or plans to fix the problem. It requires little thinking and zero action. Whether it be damning God, the government, the universe, faulty technology, slow Wi-Fi, the authorities, or traffic, anyone can find something to complain about. But what good has complaining ever done anyone in the long run? Sure, shaking your fist at the sky and venting your frustrations can feel liberating at the moment, but has it ever changed your circumstances for the better, solved your problems, or made you happier? We're willing to bet the answer is no. So, how should we respond to the events and the people tempting us to express our frustrations? Here is what the Stoics say on the matter. 13. 2 ears, 1 mouth, for a reason. Zeno. The imagery of having 2 ears and 1 mouth suggests that we should listen twice as much as we speak. Listening attentively allows us to understand others' perspectives, experiences, and emotions. It fosters genuine connections and meaningful interactions by demonstrating respect and validation for the thoughts and feelings of others. Moreover, listening enables us to learn and grow. By actively engaging with different viewpoints and experiences, we expand our understanding of the world and enrich our perspectives. This promotes empathy, tolerance, and open-mindedness, fostering a culture of inclusivity and mutual respect. Furthermore, the aphorism encourages self-reflection and introspection. By prioritizing listening over speaking, we cultivate humility and self-awareness. We become more attuned to our own biases, assumptions, and limitations, fostering personal growth and development. In essence, Zeno's wisdom reminds us of the transformative power of listening. By embracing the practice of attentive listening, we nurture deeper connections, broaden our horizons, and cultivate a more compassionate and understanding society. 14. There is always something you can do. The idea that there is always something you can do embodies this fundamental Stoic principle. Regardless of the circumstances we encounter, Stoicism teaches that we retain agency over our thoughts, actions, and attitudes. While we may not have control over external events or outcomes, we possess the power to choose our responses and behaviors. This perspective encourages proactive problem-solving, resilience, and perseverance. Instead of succumbing to despair or resignation, Stoicism urges us to seek out actionable steps, no matter how small, that align with our values and goals. Whether it involves adapting our mindset, seeking support, or taking practical measures, there is always some course of action available to us. By embracing this Stoic mindset, we cultivate a sense of empowerment, purpose, and inner strength, enabling us to navigate life's challenges with courage and integrity. 15. Don't compare yourself to others. Comparing oneself to others is a common habit deeply ingrained in human nature, often fueled by societal pressures, social media, and personal insecurities. However, adopting the mindset of not comparing oneself to others can be liberating and conducive to personal growth and well-being. Firstly, when we refrain from comparing ourselves to others, we acknowledge and embrace our unique individuality. Each person has their strengths, weaknesses, experiences, and journey in life. Recognizing this diversity allows us to appreciate our path and accomplishments without feeling diminished by the achievements of others. Moreover, avoiding comparison fosters a mindset of self-compassion and acceptance. Constantly measuring ourselves against others can lead to feelings of inadequacy, jealousy, and low self-esteem. By focusing inward and practicing self-acceptance, we cultivate a sense of worthiness and contentment rooted in our intrinsic value rather than external validation. Furthermore, refraining from comparison promotes authentic self-development. Instead of striving to meet arbitrary standards set by others, we can direct our energy towards pursuing goals and aspirations that align with our values and aspirations. This empowers us to cultivate our unique talents, pursue meaningful endeavors, and realize our full potential. 16. Speak with the dead. The founder of Stoicism, Zeno, was a young man when he was given a cryptic piece of advice. To live the best life, the oracle told Zeno, you should have conversations with the dead. What does that mean? Like with ghosts and goblins? Go spend time chatting in a cemetery? No, of course not. The oracle was talking about reading, because it's through books that we really talk to people who are no longer with us. Their bodies may be rotting in the ground or long since turned to dust, but in the pages of a book, they are alive and well. Harry Truman was one of the greatest readers to ever occupy the White House. As a friend observed to Harry, history was the men who made it, and he spoke of Marcus Aurelius or Henry of Navarre or old Tom Jefferson or old Andy Jackson as if they were friends and neighbors with whom he had only recently discussed the affairs of the day, their day. When Truman said that not all readers are leaders, but all leaders are readers, we felt like he was talking to us. We built our daily Stoic Read to Lead challenge around that piece of advice from him, as if he was still here, not dead for nearly 50 years. That's the beauty and the power of books. They can bring the past to life, and they can annex, as Seneca said, all ages into your own. You can put yourself in the same room as Lincoln. You can chat with Shakespeare. You can be inspired by Portia Cato. To do this isn't scary, in fact, it's the opposite. It's incredibly reassuring because it means you have permanent access to the wisest men and women who ever lived. It's also an incredible opportunity to learn, to ask questions, to be taught. If there is anything at all scary about this, it's that millions of people decline to do this every day, day after day, for the balance of their natural lives. They reject this superpower. They decide to be illiterate. They ignore the deed, choosing to listen to the chattering voices on their television and their Twitter feed. Be smart, be brave, and talk to the dead. Put it into practice. Read for 30 minutes today and every day. 17. The best revenge is not to be like that. Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius encapsulates a profound truth in his statement, "The best revenge is not to be like that." This philosophy embodies the Stoic principle of responding to adversity with wisdom and virtue, rather than succumbing to vengeful or vindictive impulses. Instead of seeking retribution or harboring resentment towards those who wrong us, Aurelius advocates for a higher path of integrity, compassion, and self-mastery. By refusing to stoop to the level of those who have harmed us, we transcend the cycle of negativity and preserve our own moral integrity. This approach reflects a deep understanding of the destructive nature of revenge, which often perpetuates further harm and suffering. Instead, Aurelius invites us to rise above petty grievances and cultivate inner peace and resilience. By embodying the virtues of forgiveness, empathy, and inner strength, we not only liberate ourselves from the burden of bitterness, but also inspire others to follow a path of dignity and grace. 18. Be strict with yourself and tolerant of others. Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. Marcus Aurelius. Cato hated excess. He hated finery. He hated luxury. He thought to indulge in such things as weakness and stupidity. And so, what did Cato think of his brother, who was far less strict about these things? He loved him. In fact, he worshipped him. It's important to remember that the Stoic had strict standards. We have strong opinions on what's right and what isn't. But, and this is a big but, we have to be understanding and forgiving of those who have been, as Marcus Aurelius writes, cut off from the truth. This observation from Marcus Aurelius's most thoughtful biography by Ernest Renan explains the right way to do it. The consequence of austere philosophy might have produced stiffness and severity, but here it was that the rare goodness of the nature of Marcus Aurelius shone out in all its brilliancy. His severity was confined only to himself. That's exactly the key. Your standards are for you. Marcus's rule was to be strict with yourself and tolerant of others. That's the line that Cato walked with his brother. That's what we have to figure out with the folks who, in today's world, live in a very unstoic way. There are consequences for their actions, of course, especially when those actions or choices are unjust. But we don't need to cast them out of our lives or write them off as worthless or awful. We can still engage with them. We can see them at Christmas. We can let them into our lives in a way that is safe or respectful of our boundaries. We can accept that people can see things in a different way and let them live as they wish. Again, so long as those choices aren't hurting other people. We can, to borrow an old expression, hate the sin while still loving the sinner. Because what they do and how they act is not up to us. The good we choose to still see in them, that's in our control. Put it into practice. Next time you find yourself feeling disappointed with someone or on the verge of judging someone, stop yourself and instead look for the good in them. 19. Don't let your emotions control you. Remember earlier when we talked about the things that we can and can't control? The long and short of it is that we can't control external events. We can only control our thoughts, actions, words, beliefs, opinions, impressions, etc. We often think of our emotions as something that happens to us, but the truth is that our emotions come from within. Both happiness and unhappiness depend on perception. Marcus Aurelius. This means that we can control our emotions. For the record, this doesn't mean suppressing your emotions and pretending they don't exist. But we can become self-aware. We can recognize that our emotions are internal and not external. Our anger and annoyance are more detrimental to us than the things themselves which anger or annoy us. Marcus Aurelius. We can recognize that our emotions and what our emotions lead us to say and do are often more harmful to us, as Marcus Aurelius points out, than the event that actually made us emotional in the first place. Any person capable of angering you becomes your master. Epictetus. When you have an emotional reaction to what someone else says and has done, you're letting them control you. Once you realize that you don't have to let your emotions control you, you can radically change your day-to-day experience. 20. Make beautiful choices. If your choices are beautiful, so too will you be. Epictetus. Epictetus said that the root of beauty was beautiful choices. He was talking less of physical beauty, one imagines, than of true beautiful human behavior, but actually it applies to both. A stunning woman whose looks are the result of her vanity and self-obsession will be rather unattractive when you get to know her. A man with strapping muscles acquired through steroids and a neglect of all other concerns is not really that impressive. Beauty, then, is difficult to separate from the intention, the choices which create it. So, if you'd like to look better, that gives you a good place to start, in your choices, but also in your motivations and intentions. It's the decision to get out of bed early and go for a run, so you can be around to see your children grow up, not so you can look good in the mirror. Do your makeup because it gives you confidence. The ritual of applying it is some quiet time to yourself, not to cover up your flaws. Hire a trainer because you want to learn the discipline of weightlifting or boxing, not because you just want someone to tell you what to do. Remember, the Stoics tried to separate what was up to us and what wasn't. Things can get between you and your goal, of course, but nothing can stop you from getting started. Nothing can stop you from making a beautiful choice for yourself today. Put it into practice. Every time you are faced with a choice today, between walking the 15 minutes or taking an Uber, between picking up the phone to have the difficult conversation or leaving it to an email, between taking responsibility or hoping it goes unnoticed, choose the more difficult option, the option that challenges you the most. 21. Focus on process, not outcomes. Focusing on process, not outcomes, is a fundamental principle that lies at the heart of Stoic philosophy, emphasizing the importance of directing our attention and efforts towards actions within our control rather than fixating on external results. By shifting our focus from the end goal to the steps we take along the way, we cultivate a mindset rooted in resilience, mindfulness, and virtue. In embracing this approach, we acknowledge the inherent unpredictability of life and relinquish attachment to specific outcomes, recognizing that our true power lies in how we engage with the present moment. By prioritizing the process, we foster a sense of purpose, mastery, and fulfillment in our endeavors, irrespective of the eventual outcome. This Stoic mindset encourages perseverance in the face of obstacles, resilience in times of adversity, and a deeper appreciation for the journey itself. Ultimately, by embracing the process with intention and integrity, we not only enhance our chances of success, but also cultivate a sense of inner peace and contentment that transcends external circumstances. 22. Turn obstacles upside down. Our inward power, when it obeys nature, reacts to events by accommodating itself to what it faces, to what is possible. It needs no specific material. It pursues its own aims as circumstances allow. It turns obstacles into fuel. As a fire overwhelms what would have quenched a lamp, what's thrown on top of the conflagration is absorbed, consumed by it, and makes it burn still higher. Marcus Aurelius. One way to go through life is to turn away from the things that are hard. You can close your eyes and ears to what is unpleasant. You can take the easy way, foregoing difficulty whenever possible. The other way is the Stoic way. It entails not only not avoiding hardship, but actively seeking it out. In the novel Memoirs of Hadrian, Marguerite Yourcenar has Hadrian write to young Marcus Aurelius about his philosophy for learning and benefiting from all of life's adversity and unpleasantness. Whenever an object repelled me, he says, I made it a subject of study, ingeniously compelling myself to extract from it a motive for enjoyment. If faced with something unforeseen or near cause for despair, like an ambush or a storm at sea, after all, measures for the safety of others had been taken. I strove to welcome this hazard, to rejoice in whatever it brought me of the new and unexpected. And thus, without shock, the ambush or the tempest was incorporated into my plans or my thoughts. Even in the throes of my worst disaster, I've seen a moment when sheer exhaustion reduced some part of the horror of the experience, and when I made the defeat a thing of my own in being willing to accept it. Of course, this is fiction, so Hadrian never said such a thing, but clearly somebody taught Marcus a lesson along those lines, because Meditations is filled with similar passages. Marcus writes about how a fire turns everything that is thrown into it into flame. He says that obstacles are actually fuel. The impediment to action advances action. He writes, what stands in the way becomes the way. It's a beautiful way to approach the world, and ultimately the only one suited for our unpredictable and stressful times. Take someone like Laura Ingalls Wilder, who had a hardscrabble existence. From the Kansas prairies to the backwoods of Florida, she and her family eked out a life in some of the most unforgiving environments on the planet. She endured and eventually thrived. Despite this, due primarily to her Stoic optimism. There is good in everything, she later wrote, if only we look for it. To avoid difficulty would mean a complete retreat from life. It would mean hiding in ignorance. Worse, this would make you dreadfully vulnerable to crisis if it did ever find you. Instead, we must strive, as Hadrian said, to welcome hazards. We can rejoice in the unexpected and even turn failure into something by deciding to own it. We can learn from unpleasantness and even soften our aversions. This will not be easy, but that's fitting, isn't it? We are not naturally attracted to obstacles, which is precisely why we must work on finding out how to like them. This is the way. Put it into practice. Face today in the spirit of Laura Ingalls Wilder. Look for the good in everything. 23. Find a way to love everything that happens. Amor fati. Do not seek to have events happen as you want them, but instead want them to happen, and your life will go well. Epictetus. The great German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche would describe his formula for human greatness as amor fati, a love of fate. That one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity, not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it, but love it. The Stoics were not only familiar with this attitude, but they embraced it. 2,000 years earlier, Marcus Aurelius would say, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." Stuff goes wrong. It's a fact of life. As Seneca said, fortune behaves just as she pleases. His own life was proof of that. A health flare-up disrupted his career. An emperor exiled him. He clawed his way back, only to have it happen again. Nearly all of this was out of Seneca's control. The only part that was up to him was how he chose to see these events and what he chose to do with them. He chose to see them as a good thing. He chose to use them. He chose to dye these events with his own color. Jocko Willink, in his famous viral speech, explains how we do this, how we can see everything that happens to us as good. Oh, the mission got cancelled. Good. We can focus on another one. Didn't get the new high-speed gear we wanted. Good. We can keep it simple. Didn't get promoted. Good. More time to get better. Didn't get funded. Good. We own more of the company. Didn't get the job you wanted. Good. Go out, gain more experience, and build a better resume. Got injured? Good. Needed a break from training. Did you get tapped out? Good. It's better to tap out in training than tap out on the street. Got beat? Good. We learned. Unexpected problems? Good. We have to figure out solutions. This is a Stoic prescription. This is the Stoic prescription. It's also the prescription for leadership, entrepreneurship, for resiliency. Life throws stuff at you. You are the one who decides to lay down and let it bury you, or to make hay out of it. You are the one who decides whether to bury your head in the sand and hope it goes away, or to look it square in the eye, as bad as it is, and say, good. These are your choices, and choosing rightly, Choosing to see the bad things as ultimately good is all you can do. It's what you must do, because people are depending on you, because you believe in your ability to make it good, because you have but one life to live. Amor fati. Put it into practice. Today, whenever something bad happens, respond to it with good, and then see how you can turn it into a positive. 24. Seek out challenges. Seeking out challenges is a cornerstone of personal growth and resilience, reflecting a mindset deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy. Rather than avoiding difficulty or discomfort, embracing challenges allows individuals to confront their limitations, expand their capabilities, and cultivate inner strength. In the Stoic tradition, challenges are viewed as opportunities for growth and self-discovery, providing a pathway to greater wisdom and virtue. By willingly engaging with adversity, individuals develop resilience, perseverance, and courage, qualities essential for navigating life's inevitable ups and downs. Moreover, confronting challenges fosters a sense of empowerment and agency, as individuals recognize their capacity to overcome obstacles and shape their own destinies. Instead of shying away from difficulty, Stoicism encourages us to embrace challenges as catalysts for personal transformation, enabling us to unlock our full potential and lead lives of purpose and fulfillment. 25. Don't follow the mob. Don't follow the mob serves as a potent reminder within Stoic philosophy to maintain the autonomy of thought and action, resisting the influence of societal pressures and conformity. In a world often driven by herd mentality and external validation, Stoicism emphasizes the importance of independent judgment and moral integrity. Rather than blindly conforming to prevailing opinions or trends, individuals are encouraged to cultivate their own principles, values, and beliefs based on reason and virtue. By resisting the pull of the crowd, individuals retain the freedom to pursue their own path, make decisions aligned with their conscience, and uphold their sense of dignity and authenticity. Moreover, eschewing the herd mentality fosters resilience and inner peace, as individuals are liberated from the anxieties and insecurities that accompany social comparison and approval-seeking behavior. In embracing the Stoic admonition to not follow the mob, individuals assert their autonomy and embrace the responsibility to live according to their own moral compass, regardless of external pressures or expectations. 26. Grab the smooth handle. Grab the smooth handle is a metaphorical concept within Stoic philosophy that encourages individuals to focus on what is within their control and accept what is not, just as one would grasp the smooth handle of a tool. Stoicism teaches us to direct our efforts towards actions and decisions that are within our power to influence, while letting go of concerns beyond our control. This principle underscores the importance of rationality, resilience, and emotional mastery in navigating life's challenges. By concentrating on our own thoughts, behaviors, and attitudes, rather than being consumed by external circumstances, we cultivate a sense of inner tranquility and agency. Embracing the smooth handle empowers us to respond to adversity with equanimity and wisdom, recognizing that our true strength lies in how we choose to engage with the present moment. In essence, by seizing the smooth handle, we embody the essence of Stoic philosophy, finding liberation and peace amidst the unpredictability of life's circumstances. 27. Every person is an opportunity for kindness. Seneca. Seneca encapsulates a profound truth in his assertion that every person is an opportunity for kindness. This principle speaks to the core of Stoic ethics, emphasizing the importance of compassion, empathy, and altruism in our interactions with others. By viewing each individual as a potential recipient of kindness, we recognize the inherent dignity and worth of every human being, regardless of their background, beliefs, or circumstances. Moreover, Seneca's wisdom reminds us that acts of kindness not only benefit others, but also nourish our own well-being and sense of fulfillment. By extending kindness towards others, we cultivate a deeper connection to our shared humanity and contribute to a more compassionate and harmonious society. Ultimately, Seneca's insight challenges us to embody the virtues of generosity and empathy in our daily lives, recognizing the transformative power of kindness to uplift, heal, and inspire both ourselves and those around us. 28. Say no a lot. The Stoic philosophy advises the practice of saying no and doing so frequently as a means of maintaining personal integrity, prioritizing what truly matters, and preserving inner tranquility. In a world inundated with distractions, demands, and obligations, the ability to say no empowers individuals to guard their time, energy, and values. By exercising discernment in what they commit to, Stoics avoid spreading themselves too thin and risking the erosion of their well-being and priorities. Saying no liberates individuals from the tyranny of people-pleasing and the fear of disappointing others, enabling them to live in alignment with their true selves and principles. Moreover, the practice of saying no fosters self-respect, self-care, and authenticity as individuals honor their boundaries and assert their autonomy in choosing how to invest their resources. Embracing the Stoic injunction to say no liberally is not an act of selfishness, but rather an affirmation of one's values, autonomy, and commitment to leading a life of meaning and purpose. 29. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help is a principle deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy, emphasizing the importance of humility, interdependence, and resilience in navigating life's challenges. Contrary to the notion of self-sufficiency promoted by some schools of thought, Stoicism acknowledges the inherent limitations of individual agency and encourages individuals to recognize when assistance is needed. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but rather a demonstration of courage and wisdom, acknowledging one's own vulnerabilities and limitations. In seeking support from others, individuals cultivate a sense of community, connection, and mutual aid, strengthening social bonds and fostering a spirit of cooperation. Moreover, asking for help promotes personal growth and learning, as it provides opportunities for receiving guidance, feedback, and perspective from others. By embracing vulnerability and reaching out for assistance when necessary, individuals demonstrate a willingness to learn, adapt, and persevere in the face of adversity. In essence, the Stoic principle of not being afraid to ask for help invites individuals to transcend the illusion of self-sufficiency and embrace the power of collaboration, empathy, and solidarity in navigating life's journey. It is a reminder that strength lies not in isolation, but in our ability to lean on one another for support, encouragement, and guidance as we strive to live virtuous and fulfilling lives. 30. What's bad for the hive is bad for the bee. Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius's aphorism, "What's bad for the hive is bad for the bee," encapsulates a profound insight into the interconnectedness of individuals and society within Stoic philosophy. This principle underscores the idea that the well-being of the collective is inseparable from the well-being of its individual members. Just as a healthy hive supports the flourishing of its individual bees, so too does a flourishing society contribute to the fulfillment and flourishing of its citizens. Aurelius reminds us that our actions, choices, and attitudes have ripple effects that extend beyond ourselves, influencing the broader community and environment in which we live. Thus, to pursue selfish interests or engage in harmful behavior not only undermines the common good, but ultimately diminishes one's own well-being and sense of virtue. By recognizing our interconnectedness and acting with consideration for the greater good, we cultivate a sense of responsibility, empathy, and solidarity toward others. In embracing this principle, individuals contribute to the creation of a more just, compassionate, and harmonious society, where the welfare of all members is valued and upheld. Ultimately, Aurelius's wisdom challenges us to transcend narrow self-interest and strive for a higher ideal of communal flourishing, recognizing that our own happiness and fulfillment are intricately bound up with the welfare of others. 31. Don't judge other people. The Stoic philosophy admonishes the act of judging others, emphasizing instead the virtues of empathy, understanding, and acceptance. To judge others is to engage in an exercise of arrogance, presuming superiority or moral authority over them. Stoicism teaches that each individual is on their own journey, facing their own struggles and possessing their own unique perspective. By refraining from judgment, we honor the inherent dignity and complexity of every human being. Moreover, Stoicism recognizes the fallibility of human perception and the limitations of our understanding. What may appear as flaws or shortcomings in others may be the result of circumstances, upbringing, or experiences beyond their control. Instead of casting judgment, Stoicism encourages us to cultivate compassion and empathy, seeking to understand the motivations and challenges of others. In doing so, we foster connection, promote harmony, and cultivate a spirit of goodwill towards our fellow beings. By embracing the Stoic injunction to refrain from judgment, we not only free ourselves from the burden of negativity and prejudice, but also contribute to the creation of a more compassionate and understanding society. Ultimately, the practice of non-judgment aligns with the Stoic ideal of living in accordance with nature, recognizing the inherent worth and interconnectedness of all living beings. 32. Forgive, forgive, forgive. Stoicism calls for forgiveness. Remind yourself of the ignorance of the wrongdoers. They don't do wrong on purpose. What they do seems to be the right thing in their situation. Therefore, we should not blame people, even if they treat us rudely and unfairly. They don't do those things on purpose. As Socrates said, nobody does wrong willingly. We must be patient with these people. It's our special privilege, says Marcus, to love even those who stumble. Be forgiving, even if others aren't. You lead by example, knowing that they don't see what you see. In a sense, the Stoics view stumbling people as misguided and lacking in wisdom, more like children than malicious people. So, who are we to blame them? The only appropriate response is compassion and forgiveness. Don't wish for people not to do wrong, rather wish for the strength to be tolerant and forgiving. Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness, says Seneca. If you want to be your best, kindness is a great value to develop, and nothing can hinder you from being kind. It's always possible. Kindness is invincible, says Marcus, as long as it's sincere. For what can even the most malicious person do if you keep showing kindness? Most rudeness, meanness, and cruelty are a mask for deep-seated weakness, says Ryan Holiday. Kindness in these situations is only possible for people of great strength. Show your strength. Freely forgive the wrongs of others and be kind. 33. Journal. A Stoic journal serves as a powerful tool for personal growth, self-reflection, and mindfulness in alignment with Stoic philosophy. This journaling practice involves recording daily thoughts, experiences, and reflections through the lens of Stoic principles such as virtue, resilience, and acceptance. By committing thoughts to paper, individuals gain clarity, insight, and perspective on their emotions and reactions to external events. Moreover, a Stoic journal encourages the cultivation of gratitude, resilience, and inner peace by focusing on what is within one's control and letting go of what is not. It serves as a repository for lessons learned, goals set, and progress made on the journey towards wisdom and self-improvement. Through regular journaling, individuals deepen their understanding of Stoic teachings and integrate them into their daily lives, fostering greater resilience, tranquility, and well-being. Ultimately, a Stoic journal becomes a sacred space for introspection, growth, and transformation, guiding individuals toward a more meaningful and fulfilling existence. 34. Prepare for life's inevitable setbacks. Premeditatio malorum. Stoicism offers the concept of premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils, as a powerful tool for preparing oneself to face life's inevitable setbacks. This practice involves anticipating and mentally preparing for the challenges, adversities, and hardships that may arise in the course of one's life. Rather than being caught off guard or overwhelmed by unexpected difficulties, premeditatio malorum encourages individuals to cultivate resilience, equanimity, and fortitude in the face of adversity. By mentally rehearsing potential hardships, individuals develop a sense of emotional resilience and psychological preparedness, enabling them to respond to setbacks with clarity, composure, and strength. Moreover, premeditatio malorum fosters a mindset of acceptance and adaptability, recognizing that adversity is an inherent part of the human experience. Instead of resisting or avoiding challenges, Stoicism teaches us to embrace them as opportunities for growth, learning, and self-discovery. In embracing the practice of premeditatio malorum, individuals cultivate a sense of inner peace and empowerment, knowing that they have the strength and resilience to weather life's storms and emerge stronger on the other side. Ultimately, premeditatio malorum serves as a potent reminder of the Stoic principle of living in accordance with nature, accepting the inevitability of adversity, and finding meaning and purpose in the face of life's challenges. 35. Look for the poetry in ordinary things. Stoicism, often associated with rationality and resilience, also encourages individuals to find beauty and meaning in the ordinary moments of life. The Stoic principle of looking for poetry in ordinary things invites us to cultivate a sense of mindfulness, gratitude, and appreciation for the simple pleasures that surround us. By embracing this practice, we learn to see the extraordinary within the mundane, finding solace, inspiration, and wonder in the everyday experiences that often go unnoticed. Whether it's the warmth of sunlight on our skin, the sound of rain tapping against the window, or the sight of a loved one's smile, Stoicism teaches us to savor these moments and find joy in the present. In doing so, we cultivate a deeper connection to the world around us and foster a sense of contentment and fulfillment that transcends material wealth or external achievements. Moreover, by seeking out the poetry in ordinary things, we cultivate a mindset of resilience and perspective, recognizing that beauty and meaning can be found even in the midst of adversity or hardship. Ultimately, the practice of looking for poetry in ordinary things enriches our lives, nourishing our souls and reminding us of the inherent richness and wonder of the human experience. 36. To do wrong to one is to do wrong to yourself. Sympathetic. To do wrong to one is to do wrong to yourself encapsulates the concept of sympatheia within Stoic philosophy, highlighting the interconnectedness and interdependence of all beings. This principle teaches us that harming others ultimately harms ourselves, as we are all part of the same cosmic web of existence. When we inflict harm or injustice upon another individual, we disrupt the harmony of the universe and diminish our own moral integrity. Sympathetic calls upon us to cultivate empathy, compassion, and altruism towards others, recognizing their inherent worth and dignity as fellow beings. By treating others with kindness, respect, and fairness, we not only uphold our own moral principles, but also contribute to the well-being and flourishing of the collective. In embracing the principle of sympathy, Stoicism offers a profound reminder of our interconnectedness and shared humanity, guiding us towards a life of virtue, harmony, and mutual respect. 37. Accept success without arrogance and handle failure with indifference. To accept it without arrogance, to let it go with indifference. Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius had an interesting metaphor. He believed that a man, an emperor, a soldier, everyone, was like a rock. Throw the rock up in the air, he said, and it loses nothing by coming down and gains nothing by going up. The rock stays the same. We can imagine his own life mirroring this analogy. He was an ordinary man plucked by Hadrian to become emperor, yet he could have been equally dethroned at any moment as well, and late in his reign nearly was. Did this change who Marcus was? Did it mean he was better or worse than other people? No, he was still the same rock. And so are you. Whether you have a day that begins with a promotion or ends with a firing, you're the same. Whether you win the lottery or file for bankruptcy, whether you address a crowd of thousands or have trouble getting your calls returned. The question is how we're going to respond to these swings of fate, if we can follow the lines of Kipling's classic poem, If you can meet with triumph and disaster, and treat those two impostors just the same, you're the same. Success or failure, highs and lows, they don't change you. They are outside you. These are different. You stay the same. Put it into practice. Greet anything and everything that life throws at you today, the highs and the lows, the same way. Put it into practice. Greet anything and everything that life throws at you today, the highs and the lows, the same way. 38. Courage, temperance, justice, wisdom, always. Courage, temperance, justice, wisdom, always encapsulates the core virtues upheld by Stoic philosophy as guiding principles for living a life of integrity, resilience, and wisdom. These virtues serve as the foundation of Stoic ethics, providing a framework for ethical decision-making and moral conduct. Courage calls upon individuals to face adversity with bravery and determination, overcoming fear and obstacles in pursuit of what is right. Temperance urges moderation and self-discipline in all aspects of life, fostering balance and harmony in one's actions and desires. Justice demands fairness, empathy, and compassion towards others, promoting social harmony and equity. Wisdom, the pinnacle of Stoic virtue, encompasses rationality, self-awareness, and sound judgment, guiding individuals toward a life of meaning and purpose. Together, these virtues form the cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, guiding individuals toward a life of moral excellence, inner peace, and flourishing. By embodying these virtues in thought and action, Stoicism offers a path to fulfillment and resilience amidst the challenges and uncertainties of life. 39. Ego is the enemy. Ego is the enemy, warning against the destructive influence of pride, arrogance, and self-absorption. In the Stoic tradition, ego represents the tendency to prioritize one's own desires, opinions, and interests above those of others, leading to discord, suffering, and moral decay. By succumbing to ego-driven impulses, individuals become blinded to reality, lost touch with their true selves, and alienate themselves from others. Ego breeds a sense of entitlement, insecurity, and resentment, hindering personal growth and fostering disharmony in relationships. Stoicism teaches us to transcend ego by cultivating humility, self-awareness, and empathy. By acknowledging our own limitations and interconnectedness with all beings, we overcome the illusion of separateness and ego-driven desires. In doing so, we free ourselves from the shackles of ego and embrace a life of virtue, integrity, and compassion. Ultimately, ego is the enemy, reminds us that true fulfillment and flourishing come not from self-aggrandizement, but from self-transcendence and the pursuit of excellence in service to others and the greater good. 40. Stillness is the key. Stillness is the key, emphasizing the importance of inner tranquility, mindfulness, and equanimity in navigating life's challenges. In a world characterized by constant noise, distraction, and busyness, Stoicism teaches us the value of cultivating a sense of inner calm and serenity amidst the chaos. Stillness allows us to quiet the mind, center ourselves, and connect with our true essence. It enables us to gain clarity, insight, and perspective, facilitating wise decision-making and discernment. By cultivating stillness, we develop resilience in the face of adversity, learning to respond to life's ups and downs with grace and composure. Moreover, stillness fosters a deeper connection to ourselves and the world around us, enabling us to live with greater authenticity, presence, and purpose. In embracing the principle that stillness is the key, Stoicism offers a pathway to inner peace, fulfillment, and flourishing amidst the tumult of existence. Finally, we'll leave you with the one rule that captures all the rules. It comes from Epictetus. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Don't talk about it, be about it. The whole point of Stoicism is what you do. It's who you are. It's the act of virtue, not the act of talking about virtue, or reading about it, or writing about it. It's about embodying your rules and principles. Let your actions speak for you. So, Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, and now us, waste no more time talking about what a good man is like. Be one.